I am willing to sit here and endure Mr. Drummond's sneering and his disrespect, for he is pleading the case of the prosecution by his contempt for all that is holy. I object, I object, I object. On what grounds? Is it possible that something is holy to the celebrated agnostic?
Yes. The individual human mind. In a child's power to master the multiplication table, there is more sanctity than in all your shouted amens and holy holies and hosannas. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral. And the advance of man's knowledge is a greater miracle than all the sticks turned to snakes or the parting of the waters. But now, are we to forego all this progress because Mr. Brady now frightens us with a fable? Gentlemen, progress has never been a bargain. You have to pay for it. Sometimes I think there's a man who sits behind a counter and says, all right, you can have a telephone, but you lose privacy and the charm of distance. Madam, you may vote, but at a price. You lose the right to retreat behind the powder puff or your petticoat. Mister, you may conquer the air, but the birds will lose their wonder, and the clouds will smell of gasoline. Darwin took us forward to a hilltop, from where we could look back and see the way from which we came. But for this insight and for this knowledge, we must abandon our faith in the pleasant poetry.
We must not abandon faith.
The Epperson v. Arkansas case, a very controversial case in the United States. At the time, there was a 1928 Arkansas statute prohibiting the teaching of human evolutionary theory in its public schools and universities. The statute was enacted during a period of Christian fundamentalistic religious fervor in the 1920s. The Arkansas statute was modeled after a Tennessee 1925 Butler Act, the subject of the well-known Scopes trial in 1925. The Tennessee Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Tennessee law in 1927, allowing the state to continue to prohibit the teaching of evolution. The Arkansas law was passed through the initiative process, the first anti-evolution law in the United States passed through general vote, and teachers who violated it were made subject to fine and dismissal by the state, involving Susan Epperson, a 10th grade teacher from Arkansas who was attempting to teach Darwin's theory of evolution. Susan Epperson did not agree with this statute, so she filed a lawsuit against the state of Arkansas. The state appeal court focused on the power given to states to set curriculum standards, and did not go far into the subject of evolutionary theory itself, nor to the boundaries between church and state. Now this caused people to rise, enough for the case to make it to the Supreme Court. Now, you could argue that this statute could be relevant, given the fact that people in society believe in different faiths and have different beliefs in different theories for the origin of mankind. The U.S. Supreme Court found the reasons given in the Arkansas reversal were in error. They went on to say that the clear purpose of the Arkansas statute against the teaching of evolution was to protect a particular religious view, and was thus unconstitutional. here's my personal opinion. I personally think that the Supreme Court made the right decision to say that the statute was in fact unconstitutional because it violates the First Amendment in the United States Constitution, which prohibits the making of any law respecting an establishment of religion, impeding the free exercise of religion, abridging the freedom of speech, infringing on the freedom of press, and interfering with the right to peacefully assemble. Which in my opinion means that teachers at the time should have been able to teach Darwin's theory of evolution. Because, like the Supreme Court said, that statute was based only on one particular religious view. That is my opinion.
Faith is the most important thing.
Then why did God plague us with the power to think, Mr. Brady? Why do you deny the one faculty of man that raises him above the other creatures of the earth? The power of his brain to reason. What other merit have we? The elephant is larger, the horse is swifter and stronger, the butterfly is far more beautiful, the mosquito is more prolific, even the simple sponge is more durable. What does a sponge think?
I don't know. I am a man, not a sponge.
What do you think a sponge thinks?
If the Lord wishes a sponge to think, it thinks.
Do you think a man should have the same privilege as a sponge?
Of course.
This man wishes to be accorded the same privilege as a sponge. He wishes to think.